Let's go to Jerusalem and correspondent Irris Makler. Irris, what's the latest?
The latest appears to be that there is not going to be the Knesset meeting. Is not going to take place for a little while. There is a meeting of the Knesset on Monday, but the move to change the Speaker of the Parliament, the Knesset, doesn't seem to be able to happen that day. And I think it's a sign that what that means is that the actual vote won't take place for something like 12 days, perhaps even longer. And that gives Benjamin Netanyahu time to work on his current strategy, which is to attack the weakest link in the coalition, and that appears to be the right-wing parties, particularly that of the putative Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett. And for example, they've suggested that activists should go outside the home of the one most likely to waver. His name is Nir Orbach. As someone said, a little-known MP, no one had ever heard of him until now. But since he's the most likely to waver, there are people outside his house and they're calling him, come back, don't do it, you're a traitor, this is wrong, this is not right-wing behaviour. And if you're a waverer, I can imagine that that's very powerful for you and your family to hear. And by the way, Facebook just banned Netanyahu's son, Yair Netanyahu. He said the Bolsheviks at Facebook banned me because he called people to go and camp outside this member of parliament's house for just this purpose.
Just a couple of weeks ago, we still had Benjamin Netanyahu courting Mansour Abbas. What does he mean in that tweet when he says Bennett sold the Negev to Ram, his party?
Yes, they were courting Mansour Abbas, but the Likud party line, I just heard a lengthy interview with one of the Likud main leaders, and they say, no, they weren't courting Mansour Abbas. They wanted very limited support from him for something, and they're horrified at the thought that so much money, that part of this deal to bring him into the government was that so much money would be given to him, that all the benefits that he's managed to strike, which you can do, of course, when you hold the balance of power. So they are offended by that. And the line is, you'll remember that Benjamin Netanyahu, I think 5 years ago now, told people to come to vote because the Arabs are being bussed to the voting booths. They're coming in buses. So it's a little bit of the same flavour, don't you think? They're selling the Negev desert to the Arabs. And that kind of works very well on a subliminal level, I think, for the people that he wants to activate.
That he wants to activate. What's the balance of power outside of Netanyahu supporters?
Sorry, I don't know what you mean by the balance of power. Do you
in the new
coalition?
I mean, just more broadly, the Israeli population. What do they think of all this?
Oh, what the Israeli population think of all this? I think partly from the people that I've been speaking to and hearing, they really want this resolved. It's been 2 years of a feeling as if there's no government. There were 4 inconclusive elections. They don't want a 5th. It's expensive. They're tired of them. They barely voted in the 4th. I think people have had enough. They just want a government to govern. They want a budget. They want things run so they can go and run their own lives. So I definitely feel that people here, from what I've been hearing, they just want this resolved. However, then it breaks up into how you vote, I guess, or what your views are. I have spoken to Likud supporters who are fanatic supporters of Benjamin Netanyahu and are gutted by this. And they do believe him when he says it's not paranoia. They do feel he's being persecuted. I've spoken to other Likud voters and other right-wing voters who say 12 years in office, it's enough. It's just time for a new broom anyhow. And I've spoken to people on the opposite side of politics who actually feel that Benjamin Netanyahu is now becoming dangerous for democracy. And that's one of the reasons that he has to go. So I guess it depends where you stand, how you see it.